Old Tom Harlan had been riding the same dusty trails out near Tucson for near 50 years. Sun baked his skin, the wind-carved lines around his eyes knew every saguaro, every dry wash, every place man could find a little shade or a little trouble. Folks said he was stubborn as mesquite and twice as prickly, but those who knew him best remembered the winter he carried Widow Jenkins 3 miles through a nor'easter when her mare threw a shoe and the snow was coming sideways. Never mentioned it afterward, just hung her saddle blanket on his porch rail to dry and went on with his coffee. That particular morning in late June, the heat already shimmered off the ground like water on a hot griddle. Tom was pushing his old Ford truck along the back road toward town. The radiator hissed and complained the way some women do when they've said the same thing too many times. Was hauling a load of fence posts and a 50-pound sack of layer pellets for Clara, his wife of 34 years, waiting back at the home place with the hens in the garden and the quiet. He saw the stagecoach first at what was left of it, tipped half on its side, like a drunk trying to remember which way was up, wheels still spinning lazy in the air. Own horse down in the traces, another going, bags and boxes scattered across the sand, like somebody had shaken out a giant picnic hand there in the middle of it, all half in and half out of a horse trough. A young woman soaked to the bone, her white cotton dress clinging red with blood and placenta, dark hair plastered to her face, being like the world had just ended. Tom eased the truck to a stop, set the brakes slow, way you do when you don't want to spook anything already. Spookity stepped down, boots crunching on the couch, and walked over, easy, hands open at his sides, the way his daddy taught him when a colt was scared. Easy, no, said soft, easy. Darlin', I ain't here to hurt. She looked up, his wild chest heaving so hard he thought she might fly apart. Lips trembled, blood trickled from a cut on her forehead mixed with the water running off her hair. Slow down, she whispered. I can't take this anymore, please. Make it stop. Tom saw the dress, then what was left of it, and from shoulder to waist, through in a way that would shame any decent woman and shame any decent man for noticing. Stage had been rubbed. That much was plain. Driver lay 20 yards off, staring at the sky with eyes that wouldn't blink again. On guard crumpled near the boot, another nowhere to be seen, probably riding off with whatever they came for. Tom looked at the girl, looked at the ruin of her dress, and without a word reached for the buttons on his own shirt. Old denim faded soft as flannel, shrugged it off. Sleuth sun warm on his shoulders, scars of a lifetime plain to see. Thin he knelt beside the trough, held the shirt out like an offering. Here, no way, said, let's get you covered. She stared at him, tears cutting clean lines through the dirt and blood on her cheeks. Her hands shook so hard she couldn't grip the fabric, so Tom did what needed doing, gentle as dressing a child. Helped her arms through the sleeves, wrapped it around her buttoned, what buttons there weareth, shirt hung to a knit of coffee and horses and honest sweat. She clutched the front closed with both fists like it was the only solid thing left in the world. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you. Tom stood up, slow, looked around at the wreck again, and back at her. Name's Tom Hart. Saddened, you're safe now, that's what matters. She tried to stand, legs gave out, caught her before she hit the dirt, lifted her. Easish wasn't much more than a handful, carried her to the truck, settled her on the passenger side where the seat was cracked and warm from the sun, curled into his shirt, face against the window, still shaking. He went back for what he could, found her little carpet bag half buried under a mail sack, pulled a dead man's coat off the ground and laid it respectful over the driver's face, said a quiet word the way his mother taught him, then climbed behind the wheelies the old truck into gear. They rode in silence along what just the hum of the engine and the wind through the cracked wing window. After a bit, she spoke, a voice small. My name is Ruth Callahan. I was going to California. Me husband is waiting. Gore was I. Don't know any more. Tom nodded, kept his eyes on the road folks with said if they're worth waiting for. The wait. She turned to look at him. Look, saw the silver in his hair, kindness in the lines around his eyes. You didn't have to stop, said I. No answer it, but my clarashed skin me alive. If I drove past a woman in trouble, I'd let her. Some things are bigger than being in a hurry. Ruth managed a watery smile. First one all day. The home place came into view after 20 minutes. White clapboard house with blue trim, pork swing moving lazy in the brisk. Clara stepped out, wiping her hands on a dish. Twell took one look at the girl wrapped in Tom's shirt and knew everything she needed to know. Bring her in. Tom's collective got the kettle on in the spare room. Tom carried Ruth inside. Clara already pulling back quilt sheeting, water, laying out one of her own soft cotton nightgowns, one with tiny blue flowers she saved for company. They bathed her, gentle Clara washing the blood from her hair. Tom out on the porch, giving them privacy, whittling a little horse out of cedar shavings curling like memorial. The sun was low and gold. Ruth sat on the porch wrapped in Clara's quilt, there still damp, drinking sassafras tea sweet with honey, watching Tom mend a bridle by lantern light. I thought the world had gone mean, said queer today. Prove me right. You. Tom didn't look up from his work. World's always been both Sadmian and Kinsamitims in the same minute here. Just decide which one you're gonna add to. Clara came out, sat beside Ruth, took her hand. You'll stay as long as you need. Her Reno Deb. Just healing. Weeks slid by soft as summer rain. Ruth helped in the garden, learned to gather eggs without the hens pecking her finger, slawed for real. When Tom's old dog Blue stole her sunbonnet and paraded around proud as a peacock. Came from California. Husband avoided sick, making arrangements. One evening Tom found her by the corral watching the horses. Run, time to go soon, she said. Reckon so, answered she. Turned to Hamish, shining. You gave me back more than a shirt that day. Tom Harlan, you gave me back believing. He scratched the back of his neck, embarrassed the way men get when feelings get too close. Just did what any man would. A muted no, she said firm, not any man. You stay. She left. Clara pressed a parcel into her hands. Dress sewn from flower sacks, dyed soft blue, little stitches of love in every seat. Tom loaded her bag into the truck, drove her to the train station himself. On the platform she hugged Clara fiercely, turned to Tom, reached up on tiptoe, kissed his weathered cheek. Slowed down when I couldn't take any more, whispered. Then you did the unthinkable, treated me like I still mattered. Tom cleared his throat, looked off down the tracks. You right when you get there, say let us know you're safe. She nodded, tears bright eye willing. Tom, thank you for reminding McCandless ain't dead, it's just waiting on the right hearts to carry it up. Train whistle blew long and low. She climbed aboard, waved from the window until the curve took her away. Tom stood there, a long time, shirt sleeves rolled high, setting red behind him thin. He climbed back in the truck, drove home, slow, thinking about how some days all a man has to do is take off his shirt and put a little more kindness back into the world. Clara was waiting on the porch, rocking Janelle. She'll be all right, Clara said. Yep, Tom answered, and so will we. They sat together, hands touching, watching the stars come out one by one, way they had for 34 years, way they would for many more, because some things like kindness, like love, like taking the time to slow down when somebody can't take anymore, never go out of style and never grow old. They just settle gentle into the heart and stay.